So, welcome to the Clarity Project. I'm your host with the most, Coach Rich, Richard Adams, whatever you want to call me. I'm just glad that you took the time to be here with me. So, tonight's conversation, listen, I've been doing motivation for quite some time, and I've been doing inspiration and all of that. I don't think we need more motivation. I don't. I believe we need more clarity, more direction. So for the next couple of weeks, the focus is going to be on gaining clarity, because most people are already motivated to be where they want to be and to do the things. The question is how? How do you get it done? Motivation is temporary. So this is not going to necessarily always be a good, feel-good conversation, but it's a conversation that may be necessary for us to solve some of the issues, right? So let me get started. So the topic today, how you doing, Veronica? The topic today, I really want to delve into the bottleneck. And the reason why I say bottleneck is because I think, like, we have a lot of information. We have access to a lot of tools, a lot of instruments, chat, artificial intelligence, filters, Google. We have so much information that we have access to, right? But it happens to cause a bottleneck. And a bottleneck prevents us from really getting everything out that we like to get out, because we got so much in us. And so today we kind of going to navigate a little bit about how to get beyond the bottleneck, how to open it up a little bit more, so a lot more can flow out of us, right? So it's not about finding another problem. It's about removing the one thing that's been keeping us stuck, right? One thing I noticed is that we are so good at identifying problems, especially in the African American community. We're excellent at determining where the problem is. Some of the problems with that, you get so used to identifying the problem. So once you identify, then now what becomes the thing that we need to discover? Now what, right? So a lot of us go to books, go to seminars, we watch podcasts. We probably don't need another motivational speech. You probably don't need to read another book, but if you're not reading, you probably should more than likely read a book, another seminar. We need a breakthrough. That's what we need. We're on the social media platforms, and we're watching television, and we're watching the preachers and the pastors. And I'm not saying stop doing it. I'm saying at this point, if nothing has changed with what you're doing by ingesting motivation, ingesting another sermon, another seminar, another book, and nothing has changed, it's probably because you haven't gotten your breakthrough. So you don't need to change your life by collecting more information. You change your life by confronting the truth that you have been avoiding, right? We're waiting to feel ready, and that's what caused us to get stuck. A lot of us are at a point where we're waiting to feel ready. What if I told you that you're never gonna really feel ready? You know what I'm saying? You're never gonna feel ready. So if you're waiting to feel ready, you might be waiting for a very long time. But waiting to feel ready is an excuse. It's a sign of not having the courage. It's a sign of not necessarily having the willpower or being encouraged enough to get after it, right? How long does it take? Some of us spend so much time in the basement, in the thought process, in the laboratory, and the truth of the matter is that we seek motivation, we seek these podcasts and these shows because we want to hear or feel something that makes us feel like we're ready. What if I told you you're already ready? Where we're in the middle of the Clarity Project, we're seeking clarity, right? Got to say that real clear. We're seeking clarity. In order to get to clarity, we have to do some investigation. So we're now all deputized, and we're conducting investigations internally on ourselves to figure out where the fuzziness comes in, why we're not clear. And it is so much better to make decisions with clarity, right? I noticed one thing, we don't lack motivation, we don't lack inspiration, we don't lack the 10-second mic drop from all the influencers out there, right? So we got enough information, right? We probably don't need another podcast. We don't need another seminar. We probably don't need to necessarily ingest many more sermons because we have the information that we need. That doesn't mean stop doing those things. Those things are very important. But what is important is that we realize and recognize that we are just ingesting information, and we're looking for a place to arrive where we're ready. And the truth of the matter is you were born ready and you've been ready. Unfortunately, I don't know why we hesitate to deploy what we need. If all that information was going to be advantageous to get you to where you want to go, you should be a tad bit or quite a bit closer to your destination. So this is why we need to conduct an investigation on ourselves. And some of those questions that we've been asked to answer the last couple of weeks, it's very important to be truthful to yourself. Listen, this stuff works. So if you get yourself something to write, I promise you, you'll leave feeling good. But this is not about inspiration. This is about investigation until the reason why, and to the reason why we're stuck. All right. So this is. Let me ask you a few questions, right? And just think about it. Think about it. Are you waiting until you feel confident before you move? And I am very guilty of that, right? Are you waiting until you feel confident until you move? What if confidence isn't the prerequisite? What if confidence isn't the prerequisite? What if confidence is the result? Now, I'm going to give you a second to put that together. See, if confidence isn't the prerequisite, it's the result. What does that mean? It means it's not necessarily activated until you do it. So a lot of times you just need to do things and start things, and then the confidence come while you're doing. But a lot of us are waiting on the confidence to do, and it never comes because the confidence is the result. I'll give you a second to digest that. The confidence might be the result. Put a 1 in the chat if y'all following what I'm saying. I know that was kind of deep. The confidence is the result. So, while I play this next track, ask yourself the question: are you waiting until you feel confident before you move? What if confidence isn't the prerequisite? What if confidence is the result? Right here, this is episode 3, investigation 3. And the reason why we're investigating, because to get to the root of it, we have to investigate ourselves. And this is going to be helpful. And you can take this information on and help your friends, your spouses, your siblings, your parents, or whoever, your coworkers. Help them. So we were speaking about the confidence that we wait on, right? We don't need to necessarily wait on it. Most people don't become confident and then act. They act, and confidence catches up. Take that with you. All right? Here's the thing. Make an executive decision. Before midnight tonight, make one decision that you've been postponing. Make a decision to execute something that you've been postponing. See, listen, executives execute. And whether you know it or not, you are an executive. You are an executive of your own life. You are responsible for you. You are your own hero. You are your own director. You are your own CEO. So do yourself a favor. Make a decision that you've been postponing to execute. Period. It is your choice. There's no Superman, there's no Superwoman coming to save us. We have to be an executive of our lives and make the right decision. Here's a hint, right? The person you've been wanting to become is waiting on the decision that you're refusing to make. Process that. The person you've been wanting to become is literally waiting on a decision that you're refusing to make. What decision are you refusing to make? I don't know. So the reason why I was asking, what do you use to treat your pain? The truth of the matter is we all have some remedy that we do. And for all of our lives, what we have been doing is not treating our pain. We've been treating our symptoms while ignoring the source. See, all those methods that we put in the chat, they're utilized to treat our symptoms. It helps us ignore the source of the pain. Sometimes the job isn't the problem. Sometimes the headache isn't the problem. Sometimes that person that's getting on your last nerve isn't the problem. Sometimes money isn't the problem. Sometimes the real problem is the fear of addressing the root of the problem. See, if you in a relationship where somebody's getting on your nerves, the root of the problem is kind of difficult to deal with. So we treat the symptom. See, it's much easier to get rid of the headache that the husband calls than get rid of the husband. It's much easier to get rid of the symptoms that we're dealing with. It's much easier to take a Tylenol for the boss that gets on your nerve, or that thing that aggravates you, or the bills that's piling up. It's easy to treat those symptoms. But the truth of the matter is, to get to the root of the problem, it appears to be far more challenging. So we tend to treat the symptoms, and we've gotten so used to treating symptoms, right, that we forget to address the problem at the root, right? So here's the thing. What's bothering you? What's causing it? And let's deal with it. Symptoms make noise. Root causes decisions to be made. See, when you have a symptom, that creates that noise, that white noise in your life, right? But when you get to the root of your symptom, it takes a decision, right? But sometimes we find comfort in dealing with the symptoms, and we have normalized treating symptoms, and eventually, at some point, those symptoms manifest into bigger problems, and then you have to deal with the root. So let's start making a conscious decision not to be afraid to deal with things at the root. Remember, this whole series is about comfort. A little discomfort for a short period of time will take us a long way, right? Let's stop dealing with the temporary fixes, because in order to get the clarity, we got to move some things out. But we got to stop making excuses for ourselves. And I know I was just having a little fun banter, but seriously, we have normalized dealing with symptoms. We Band-Aid things. We Band-Aid our personal issues, our real issues, right? We mask it and we dress it up and we make ourselves look normal. And the reason why we do that, because we can hide behind the mask that we wear. But this whole conversation today is about the bottleneck, because all of this stuff bottlenecks, right? And we get stuck and don't necessarily get to the next level because we're not dealing with things at the root. We're not afraid of the root anymore. We're having a conversation about clarity, and this is the third episode. So if you haven't seen episode 1 and 2, please go to YouTube and check it out, or go to the website. Listen, we're getting clarity, no excuses. This is a great conversation. Get yourself something to write down. I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions, right? And one of the main questions, and the foundation of this question is, has your comfort become more important than your calling? And don't put it in the chat, because I know some of y'all have gotten so comfortable that you have compromised your calling. How many of us have degrees in education in areas that we don't even touch? How many of us are so far away from our true calling? How many of us are not doing exactly what we were purposed to do? How many of us have gotten so off track that we have allowed our comfort to be more important than our calling? If this is you, it's okay. Because the good news is that it doesn't have to continue to be where you are. Just keep in mind, if you think about it, there's nothing on this planet that grows without resistance. Giving birth requires resistance. When you sow a seed in the ground, it has to grow. It takes resistance from the dirt. Everything that's created came from resistance. The clothes that I'm wearing came from resistance. The trees, the houses that were built, the vehicle, everything that was made, the rubber, the melted, the precious metals, everything, the diamonds, the jewelry that we wear, the medication that we take, everything, every single thing comes from resistance. And part of that resistance is just a little bit of discomfort in the process of making. So we have to keep in mind that growth requires resistance. Progress requires discomfort. Do yourself a favor. Do one thing this week that stretches you. Make an executive decision to do one thing this week that stretches you. Not because it's easy. Not because it's necessary. Just do something to stretch yourself. Comfort protects who you are. Friction develops who you're becoming. As long as we're alive, we're always becoming. Remember, if you're comfortable, that's because you have a shield of protection that you've created yourself, around yourself. But remember, with a little bit of friction, it'll help develop who you're becoming. And as long as you live, you're always becoming. And if you can live and dwell in the idea that you're becoming, you never feel that it's too late. You never feel that you're too old, because every morning that you wake up, you're becoming. You're one more step closer to your purpose. You're one more step closer to becoming who you were intended to be. And the cool thing about being on this earth and being alive and awakening every morning, which everyone doesn't have the privilege to do, is that there's one more step towards becoming. Now, who should you be becoming? Who should you be becoming? I don't know. You know. Figure it out. Stop trying to prevent resistance. Resistance is part of the growth. And as long as you're becoming, you're right on time. As long as you're becoming, you're right where you're supposed to be. You just have to stop protecting your comfort and understand that everything that grows requires darkness and resistance. Everything was created in the dark. And everything that is great that is created came from resistance. Think about that. Why are you trying to get to the next level, or your health, or the next relationship, or whatever it is that your heart desires? You're trying to get there without resistance. It's part of the package. It's okay. It's temporary. It's gratifying when you get there because it's permanent. This is a good one for those who may be single, close to single, coming out of a relationship, or going into one, right? Regardless of whatever the case is, I want you to think about this. Ask yourself this question. Is protecting your yesterday instead of building tomorrow, is it advantageous to you? Like, is it more important to you to protect your yesterday in lieu of building your tomorrow? And here's the reason why I'm asking that question. Because sometimes what you think is protecting you is actually preventing you. So those of you that are seeking protection, it may be preventing you from that thing that you want. Think about it for a second. How many opportunities you rejected because of one painful experience? There are friends of mine that have stepped out on faith and started a business, or maybe moved, or took some quantum leap, and it didn't work out, and that's all they have. You have people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s that took one good leap and it didn't work out, and they defined the rest of their life on that one leap. Why? Because of one try made you uncomfortable. You made the decision and you signed a contract with yourself to not try again. So that means to me, at this point, you stop living at that point where you made that one quantum leap. Many folks make one massive decision to go after it, and it don't work out, and it's at that moment when they stop living and start existing. And then they exist until they no longer exist. How many of us are guilty of this? Think about this. I call it the 99% rule. And you may have heard this from me before. But isn't it amazing how life is 99%, but all we need is one bad thing to cause us to stop living. One thing didn't work out. How many relationships never started because one ended badly? How many jobs were not pursued because one job wasn't a good one? How many opportunities did you walk away from because you had one bad opportunity? I hear people that have their favorite restaurants, right? All it takes is one bad meal, boom, all the restaurants are horrible. Think about that. One bad stay at a hotel, you kill off the chain. One bad experience ends it all. What about the other 99%? One bad relationship. All men are horrible. All women are horrible. Come on. That's not how the world was intended to be. Because, let's go spiritual for a minute. What if God gave up on you after one mistake that you made, where would you be now? Yes, appreciate your honesty. So the reason I asked that question about walls, if anybody have a wall up, because we all have had them up. Some of them still have them. Some of them have them taller than the Empire State Building. And walls are a defense mechanism. And I understand if we have walls, because typically we build them to keep things and people out, and it protects our peace and our safety and tranquility. And I get it. But we have to ask ourselves, am I building my future, or am I defending my past? Think about it. So if you still have the wall up, ask yourself, is this wall building my future, or is it defending my past? Am I afraid of my yesterday? And is my yesterday preventing my tomorrow from happening? See, if the wall never comes down, it becomes a prison. And many of us built that wall out of necessity, but we kept the wall up too long, and we're keeping it up too long that it becomes a prison. And now we don't see what's happening on the other side of the wall, because remember that one bad thing that made us build that wall may no longer exist, but we kept the wall, and now we're living behind the wall, which in turn becomes our prison. How many of us built our own prison, and we're complaining about freedom that we have access to because we built the prison that we're in? Think about that. A wall that never comes down eventually becomes your prison. Are you in prison? Because some people believe literally that the wall is protecting them, but it's preventing you from building your future. It's actually defending your past. Yeah, I'm dropping nuggets today. Now, if you haven't seen episode 1 and 2, go back to the YouTube. Renee put that in the chat, the YouTube channel, please. Thank you, Dr. Renee. Listen, this is some freeing information. If you have built a wall and you have left it up too long, there's a strong possibility that inadvertently you have created a prison. You have built the prison, and in order to free yourself, you have got to tear down that wall, because sometimes, most often, that wall may have been built. That wall may have been built in your teenage years. That wall may have been built out of childhood trauma. That wall may have been built out of a dysfunctional relationship, dysfunctional family, right? So we build walls, and we become subcontractors of our own prison, right? So it's okay that you built the wall. The problem is not understanding that that wall should have been temporary out of necessity, but a permanent wall that we built, and it stays there. It eventually becomes a prison. And the reason that we built the wall may no longer exist, therefore preventing us from recognizing that we are now free. And that wall comes from abuse, psychological, mental, narcissistic relationships, letdown, betrayal. There's a lot of things that we hold on to, eventually creates a wall that we build, and we become so comfortable being behind the wall that we do not recognize that we are actually in prison. This is serious, folks, because we are responsible for the freedom that we seek, and you're in control of it. Here's the thing. I know a lot of us spend a lot of times thinking, and we think when we're thinking that it's progress. Newsflash, Thinking is not progress. It's just thinking. You know what I'm saying? How much time have you spent planning without taking the first step? Most of us spend too much time thinking. Is the bad guy and the boogeyman still on the other side of the wall? We're thinking. Thinking is not progress. How much time are you spending planning without taking your first step? You can take that wall down one brick at a time. But here's the cool thing about that. You can repurpose that brick to build something that's intended for you and your family and your future, one brick at a time, for your purpose. See, here's the thing about planning. When you're planning, you feel productive. Thinking feels productive. Think about that. But none of those build true momentum, right? So let's make some decisions. Before you watch another video to tell you how to do something, before you read another book, before you take on another seminar, before you ask another question, complete one action. See, those things cause you to continue to think. You continue to seek and sort information that you have so much in you. You have so much. But here's the thing. You're planning. You're thinking. But you're not executing. So before tonight is over, do yourself a favor. Complete one action. Remember, movement creates momentum, and momentum creates confidence. That's it. So this is episode 3. If you haven't watched episode 1 and 2, this will make more sense when you go back and watch episode 1 and 2 on YouTube. This is the investigation on the Clarity Project. So this is the Clarity Project. And through all the research that I've been doing, I think a lot of us don't necessarily lack information. We don't lack motivation. A lot of us don't lack inspiration. We lack clarity. And a lot of us lack the confidence to make decisions that we need to make. But through and through, a lot of times we don't move forward because we don't have clarity. And we believe often that we need more than what's required to get what's desired. Where you're waiting for the confidence to move. You're waiting for the resources. You're waiting for the finance. You're waiting for the perfect opportunity. You're waiting till you finish learning. You're waiting. And so is your maker. He's waiting on you. At some point, time's going to run out. So don't be in the rush to do the wrong thing, but don't waste time doing nothing, right? So here's a quick quiz, right? If you're brave, thank you so much, Rosie, for all the love. If you're brave enough, be honest with yourself and answer these questions. I want you to complete the sentence. I need to stop. ... I need to start ... I need to ask ... I need to forgive ... Don't overthink it. Be honest with yourself in answering those questions. What will your now self do for your future self? See, some of us are 50, 55, 60, 65, 40, 45. The question you got to ask yourself is, what is it that I'm not doing today that 5 years from now I'm going to regret, but I'll have the receipt to show that I had what it took. But then 5 years later, you didn't do what you could have done. You owe it to your future self. Clarity is simple. It's knowing what to do next. Period. Finally, this is something that you need to think about. It's really simple. Clarity is finally doing what you knew to do all along. So this has been an episode of Clarity Part 3, Investigation Part 3. Listen, so we went over a whole lot of different things, but this is about the bottleneck. This is not meant to inspire you, motivate you, or another seminar, another podcast that you need to listen to. This is about us executing what we already know, using the tools that we already have gained access to. So we don't probably need to purchase another book or pursue another podcast or get some, quick type scenario that's going to change your life. You have enough of that. The question is, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with the information that you've gotten over the years? A lot of us are smart beyond our ability to handle because we've absorbed so much information and did absolutely nothing with it. Because what makes us smart is not necessarily getting the information. What makes us smart is retaining and deploying and executing. That's what really separates us. A lot of us, the difference between your favorite celebrity and you is that they took a step of faith. They moved, they executed despite the fear. They did it anyway. And now we get to sit and watch them. But there's no difference. The only difference is they did what you were thinking about. We're all the same. What makes one more extraordinary is just the ability to do it anyway and to make decisions and be the executive over your life that you need to be. Here's something I want to put on your mind and think about this. Like, as you ask yourself questions, deep questions or any questions, and things play in your head all the time, like it or not, your mind speaks to you. Here's the thing. As you are asking yourself a question, your mind is already answering it one way or another way. One of the two things is going to happen when you're asking yourself a question and when you have to make a decision. It's either going to take you in protection mode and give you the results of what will keep you safe, or it's going to tell you what to do. And they're both are going to be really tough decisions to make. Typically, as you're receiving information, as you're talking to someone, the answer that scares you most often is the right answer. But we typically choose the answer that keeps us comfortable. And then we wonder why we don't grow, because we keep choosing comfort over the truth. See, you'll hear the truth in your subconscious saying, girl, you need to leave. Listen, king, you need to go after it. You need to get up. You need to go ahead. Whatever that thing that you need to be doing. You need to purge. You need to let it go. You need to move forward. Like, you get those answers. You really do. But a lot of times we choose the comfort as opposed of what will stretch us. Remember, thinking is not actual progress. Thinking is just that. It's thinking. Planning excites no one. I was planning to do that. Well, you didn't do it. And that's why someone else is doing it. So remember the questions you're supposed to ask yourself. Remember those questions. What do I need to stop What do I need to start? What do I need to ask? Who do I need to forgive? What do I need to schedule? And do yourself a favor before midnight tonight. Make one decision to do something that you've been procrastinating on. Make one decision to stretch yourself in ways that you haven't. Because every breakthrough begins with momentum, but it needs you to stop negotiating with your future. Stop negotiating with your future. And typically we use our past to negotiate with our future. Well, if we tear down the wall of our past, we no longer have to negotiate with our future. We just have to get to it. And remember, clarity is simple as knowing what to do. That's it. And most of us have clarity in our brain, but we have brain fog. We have scrambled brains, right? The clarity is inside. See, when you find clarity, it's not because you did not know what to do. Clarity is knowing what to do all along. You've been knew what to do. The reason you don't think you know what to do because it frightens you sometimes. It frightens you sometimes. You have clarity, but you suppress it because you don't think you're capable. You don't think that little voice that told you to do something, you don't think that's your voice. You pick and choose what keeps you comfortable. And little do you know that every time you pick comfort over your purpose, you're choosing to throw away the key to your prison cell. There's no celebrity superstar out there in the world that hasn't been stretched, that hasn't been through resistance, that haven't been in the dark. Pressure is what makes us. We're all gems. The truth of the matter is, some of us are walking around in deep, deep dirt. Why? Because we're afraid of the resistance that it takes to get all of the mud and the dirt off of us. You're already a gem. Get to your next level. Get out of your way. Get out of your way. Clarity is already inside you. Move all the noise so you'll know exactly where your best is. Let me know if this is making sense to you.